I was asked to give the benediction or the invocation a while back, and so I began to pray over what I should say. I asked a few friends. Some said, oh, well, pray for a good life for the graduates. Others said, oh, pray that they make lots of money so that they can pay off their loans. A number of people in the administration said, pray that they will give some of that money back to the college or the university. But every now and then, God hits me over the head and says, how presumptuous of you to tell me what to do. And how presumptuous of you to invoke me into this meeting when I am everywhere. You might as well ask the Lord to do something that he wasn't already doing. You might as well pray for sunshine. The sun is shining, whether we see it or not, even at night. The Lord is present with us wherever we may go. And no matter what we ask for, God's love is so much more than that. And so I'm going to ask all the graduates to sit down. Everybody else stay standing if you would. You have been blessed by your parents, your family, and your friends. So I'm going to ask them to extend their hands over the graduates. You have been blessed by the faculty and the staff of the university. So I'm going to ask them to extend their hands in prayer over you. I'm going to ask everyone here silently to be part of that blessing, because it's like the sun. We don't make it shine, but we open up our hearts to receive it and to share it. So if we can just have a moment of silence praying over the graduates. Now I'm going to ask everyone else to sit down. I'm going to ask the graduates to stand. Because you have been filled with so many blessings. As you said, lots of potential. I want you to all turn around and face outward. I want you to extend your hands, because those blessings that you have received, you must share with one another. And just for a moment of silence, share those blessings and that grace. Amen. Now, it wouldn't be a graduation ceremony if I didn't give you one piece of advice. Call your mom and dad from time to time. Tell them you love them.
And now I ask Stephen J. Friedman, the president of Pace University, Dr. Aniello A. Bianco, chairman of the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Andrea Spencer, Dean of the School of Education, to come to the podium to assist with the conferral of the honorary degree upon Joel I. Klein, CEO of the Education Division, now called Amplify, and Executive Vice President, Office of the Chairman at News Corporation, as a candidate for the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
When Joel Klein stepped down after serving for 8 years as Chancellor of New York City's public school system, Mayor Michael R. Bloomberg offered this assessment: Did he stir things up? You betcha. That was his job. And the great beneficiaries of that stirring were our children. Mr. Klein was once one of those children. He grew up in New York City and attended its public schools, graduating from William Cullen Bryant High School in Queens in 1963. Galvanized by the education he received, he was admitted to Columbia University, where he graduated magna cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa, and then Harvard Law School, again graduating magna cum laude. As a young lawyer, Mr. Klein worked in the highest court in the land, clerking for the United States Supreme Justice Lewis Powell. For the next 20 years, he built a thriving and distinguished legal career in Washington, D.C. He founded his own law firm. He argued 11 cases before the Supreme Court. He served as Deputy White House Counsel to President Bill Clinton, and he was appointed Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Antitrust Division of the United States Department of Justice. In his spare time, he was a visiting and adjunct professor at Georgetown University Law Center. When the call came to return home and accept the challenge of reviving New York City's ailing school system, he answered without hesitation. As Mayor Bloomberg described, Mr. Klein did indeed stir things up. A transforming force, he established a comprehensive strategy for driving student and teacher performance. Under his leadership, the city opened 470 new schools, shut down many failing schools, and raised graduation rates by 20%. As head of the country's largest school system, he also became a national leader in a bipartisan effort to institute greater accountability in public education. Throughout, he advocated for the professionalization of teaching, encouraging the brightest young minds to enter the field. Today, Joel Klein remains an advocate for teaching excellence and public school reform. As Executive Vice President at News Corp and Director of Amplify, its education division, he is seeking to transform the basic model of American education through the innovative and effective use of new technology in the classroom. For his contributions to American public education, indefatigable spirit, and distinguished service to the nation, Pace University proudly confers upon Joel Klein the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
As authorized by the Board of Trustees of Pace University, I confer upon you, Joel Klein, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Here's a diploma.
Thank you very much. Good morning. And I have to say, for a kid from Queens, it's so cool to be on the stage of Radio City Music Hall. Mr. President, distinguished faculty, esteemed graduates, ladies and gentlemen, I truly stand before you humbled by the honor you have bestowed upon me and the opportunity to address you on this glorious day. I'm especially appreciative because I feel a unique attachment to this great university. For more than 8 years, as you heard, I served as Chancellor of the New York City Public Schools, where I was housed in a building very close to your campus. Day in and day out, I had the opportunity to see and often to talk with students at Pace to learn about your school and the great education you were getting here. So I kind of feel like I've earned this degree just by hanging around, which is sort of validates Woody Allen's core theory that in life, about 80% of success is showing up. I'm also especially pleased to accept an honorary degree from a university that's being headed by a great president, and the one you have in President Friedman. After a distinguished career in law, he had the wisdom and indeed the bravery to go on and accept new challenges and move into be one of the nation's great educators. And I think there is no higher calling in life than to be a great educator. Now, while I'm deeply moved by this honor, I want to be honest with you and confess that I'm a little annoyed at myself for having accepted it. I mean, I did it because you guys are from the hood, but still in all, truth of the matter is, several years ago, after I made a graduation speech at Columbia, I said I had done it in my alma mater, no more graduation speeches. Don't get me wrong, I like to speak and I often enjoy it. It's just that graduation speeches are the most difficult and frustrating. For months before the actual speech, like the priest, I constantly am worrying about what to say. How do you say something profound to graduates without sounding ridiculously trite? I mean, how many speakers in my position have urged graduates to follow their dreams? That sounds pretty trite, actually, when you think about it. I mean, just recently, this Monday, I was at a meeting and where a dignitary from a foreign country got up and literally asked, what's the difference between a vision and a dream? A vision, he said, has a chance of becoming a reality. A dream disappears when you open your eyes. So I'm sure glad I didn't advise you to follow your dreams today. Fortunately, as I worked on these remarks, I came to a rather liberating conclusion, and that is, at the end, it really doesn't matter. I thought back to my own graduation many years ago and realized not only couldn't I remember who spoke, I couldn't remember a single word he or she had said. Truth be told, I was so hungover the day after my graduation. No, it's absolutely true. I was so hungover the day after my graduation, I couldn't remember who I was, much less who spoke at the event. In fact, if I'm lucky, 5 years from now, 10% of you, when asked who spoke at your graduation, will say, I don't know, some bald Jewish guy. And the rest of you will remember even less. So I decided this time I'm going to have some fun. And that's what I plan to do. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay, because the truth is, you came to get your diploma, which is what you're going to do today, and you're going to be happy no matter what. So let's first start with something I hope you'll find is a surprise. I've read hundreds and hundreds of graduation speeches, and the best words I ever saw uttered were by former President George W. Bush, who is not known for lofty or inspiring rhetoric. But he told the graduates, he said, to those of you who received honors, awards, and distinctions today, I say well done. And to the C students among you, I say you too may one day be President of the United States. See, look, that's not just funny, that's actually very wise. Academic performance matters, but it's not nearly as important as it may seem when you're in college. Other things, like your willingness to take big, really big risks, to constantly learn and grow. Learning doesn't end when you graduate from PACE. And to own responsibility for your own future. All of those things are much more important. Frankly, over my life, I've known a lot of ACE students who have led boring, unsatisfying lives because they were afraid to risk the alternative. I hope you don't make that mistake. In my own career, I've learned that some of life's deepest insights come not only from the great philosophers I studied in college, but from the popular music of my youth. Look around you. For me, one example was a group called America that sang a song called Tin Man, in which they pointed out that Oz never gave nothing to the Tin Man he didn't already have. Now, I found that to be profound in two ways. First, and I've always used this as my teachable point of view, inside of every one of you, no matter where you are, not just the graduates, but everyone in here, there are still things like for the Tin Man that you haven't accessed. And with the right friends, the right love, and the right leadership, you can find them. And by the same token, though, don't ever think in life you can change people, because so many people have made the mistake. I remember people saying, well, I married a diamond in the rough, and I'm going to smooth the edges. If you don't like rough diamonds, don't marry rough diamonds. A second example for me is the Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler, which advises you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and then adds, and don't count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. And in that has become the core of my leadership strategy. You heard, which is often said, how controversial I was when I was chancellor. But a great leader really needs to know when you put your foot on the gas and when on the brake. If you keep your foot on the brake, you'll go nowhere. You'll affect nothing, and there'll be no change. But if you keep your foot on the gas and never take it off, you're going to drive the car right over the edge of the cliff. And so that Kenny Rogers thing has stuck with me, and the idea that there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. The importance of focus is critical in accomplishing anything big, and each of you, I know, aspires to accomplish big things. Now I want to tell you why I think you're fortunate to be graduating at this particular time in history. This may seem a little naive and a little bit of happy talk, given what's going on in the world. In fact, some of you are probably thinking I'm nuts, given the state of our economy, how difficult it is to find a job today, and how dysfunctional our national government appears. Those are real concerns, don't get me wrong. But the basic truth is that this is a time in history of enormous opportunity and excitement. In the first place, and a lot of people don't really recognize this, and I think it's important, the world today, in so many respects, particularly materiality, is better off than it's ever been. A recent book I read, Matt Ridley, called The Rational Optimist, points this out, and I want you to get your head around this. Today, the vast majority of people are much better fed, much better sheltered, much better entertained, much better protected against disease, and much more likely to live to old age than their ancestors have ever been. Importantly, Ridley adds, the rich have gotten richer, but the poor have done even better. Indeed, in America alone, estimates show that poverty was reduced more in the last 50 years, it's not in America, in the whole world, than in the previous 500. And as a result, just looking at America, today, of those officially designated poor, 99% have electricity, running water, flush toilets, and a refrigerator. 95% have a television. 88% a telephone, 71% a car, and 70% air conditioning. Now, that may all seem obvious, but realize this, in 1970, when I was in law school, only 36% of all Americans even had air conditioning. Today, double that number of poor people have it. So those are important gains. Now, I don't mean to ignore the increasingly troubling gap between the rich and our poor in our society, and I'll say something about that. But even as we try to address those issues, we need to keep things in perspective. Looking forward, moreover, and this I hope appeals to you, the opportunities for dramatic leaps in human progress seem enormous. Science and technology will help us create a future that we truly can't imagine. Think of it this way. When I was your age, I never heard of the internet, and I didn't even know how to tweet. I mean, how retro is all of that? Despite that, today, progress in the last quarter century, we're still in the early innings of what's going to go on. In the future, to take just one example, brain research will enable us to understand more about the human condition and human behavior in the next couple of decades than we have in all of history. And that's going to have profound implications, both for how long and for how well we live. So, dear graduates, despite all the gloom and doom that you hear talked about, there's a whole lot out there for you to look forward to. Now, that said, one thing does threaten, I think, our trajectory, and that's the persistent lack of equal opportunity and equal educational opportunity today in America. Something I've spent the last 12 years focused on. You know, I just mentioned the growing gap between the haves and have-nots. There's no easy solution for that problem. We need to protect our economic safety nets, provide better support programs for those in need, and implement more equitable tax policies. But the only truly enduring solution for income inequality is to make sure that all of our children get an education that will enable them to effectively participate in our 21st century high-tech global economy. Thank you. And sadly, that's not happening today. Far too many kids, especially those who grow up in the most challenging environments, often the children of color in America, are not remotely getting the education they will need to succeed. There's something wrong with that. You know, for every one of you, some dimension of the American dream has come true today. But I worry increasingly that the American dream could become the American memory, that social mobility and the opportunity to succeed through education could increasingly become a diminishing phenomenon. And if we pledge ourselves to one commitment today, let's make sure that all of those who come after us get the same opportunities as those of us who are in this room have gotten and have succeeded at by graduating today. Now, as I wind up my remarks, let me do what commencement speakers are supposed to do and give you some advice. The first piece is corny, but it's actually important. Having the right spouse or partner in life matters, big time. So when you choose, don't be trendy, don't be cool, don't be flashy. Instead, pick someone who you want to wake up to every day and know that wherever you are, if you're with her or him, you're going to be just fine. This may sound trite, but it's actually one of the most important truths ever uttered. My second piece of advice, I want you to know that next to sex, learning is about as much fun as you can have in life. Bear with me for a second. Next to sex, learning is about as much fun as you can have in life. And unlike sex, learning can be nonstop. So make books. Make books. Books that make you think and think again, your best friends. In other words, even though you don't have to anymore, keep reading. It's such a valuable, exciting thing. I could give you lists of books that have changed my life. Now let me close by thanking you again for the opportunity to be with you today and to share and bask with you in your glory. To paraphrase Lincoln at Gettysburg, it's not what was said here today that matters, but what you did here, meaning what you did to make this day happen. You've accomplished some big things, and that merits celebrating big. So when these events are over, I hope you go out and do just what I did, which is party hard and forget who spoke at your graduation. Congratulations.
Our traditional focus on being a student-centered university has never been more important. The Keenan Award for Teaching Excellence recognizes the critical element of student engagement by saluting faculty who have consistently challenged and engaged students with innovative teaching methods that enhance their curricula and illuminate their discipline. Will Dean Neera Herman of the Dyson College of Arts and Sciences and Dr. William Offit please join me at the podium? Professor William Offit has been on the history faculty in the Dyson College of Arts and Sciences since 1990. He has served as either director or faculty advisor for the Pforzheimer Honors College since 2001. He has used multiple teaching innovations, including miniature moot courts, oral history projects, internships, learning communities, and most prominently, the Reacting to the Past pedagogy. Here, students recreate the past, for instance, the lives and choices of Massachusetts Puritans, New Yorkers during the American Revolution, Greenwich Village radicals, etc. Bill began the Dyson Houses Project in 2008 to provide co-curricular, social, cultural, and intellectual activities. This project now involves more than 700 entering students per year in 6 affinity groups. As an advisor through long hours, late nights, in person, and through email and Facebook, he reaches all incoming honors students from before the time they arrive at Pace until long after they have graduated, as well as other students in history, pre-law, and whoever walks in his door or sends him an email. And now it's our pleasure to present the Keenan Award to Professor Offit. Will Dean Neil Braun from the Lubin School of Business and Dr. Janice Winch please join me at the podium? Professor Winch is a faculty member in the Department of Management and Management Science in the Lubin School of Business. She joined PACE in 1994 after receiving a PhD in operations research from Rutgers University. She teaches courses in data analysis and quantitative modeling. During her second year of teaching at PACE, she won a teaching award as an outstanding management professor given by a Lubin student organization. Professor Winch is known as the champion of the analytics major called Quantitative Business Analysis, or QBA. Through her efforts, this major was completely revamped in 2010 to better meet the needs of employers and students. She is also actively involved as a faculty advisor of the PACE chapter of Informs, an organization for students in the quantitative business fields. In March this year, Professor Winch received the Student Advisor Award on the New York City campus. In teaching, she enjoys the challenge of presenting difficult concepts in ways students can easily understand. Congratulations, Professor Winch. It now gives me great pleasure in introducing Caitlin Ann Muser, a student in the Lubin School of Business who will address the candidates.
Good morning, President Friedman, Chairman Bianco, distinguished guests, families, friends, and of course, the reason we are here today in the only entertainment venue in New York City that is cooler than the Schimmel Theater, the graduating class of 2013. When I walked into PACE 4 years ago and moved into Maria's Tower, where I met my best friend, I didn't really know who I was or what I wanted to do with my life. And today, as I stand before you, while we all anxiously wait to receive our diplomas, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. I'm entering the real world in about 1 hour, and I still have no idea what I want to do. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the majority of us that are sitting here in our caps and gowns don't really know how to answer the ever-famous interview question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those of you who have already been in this position before answered that question some years ago, only to find out that life didn't exactly follow your plans. And if there's one thing I've learned throughout the past 4 years, it's that that's okay. Now, just because I was given the honor to give the graduation speech this morning doesn't mean that I have some deep insight into life or really know more about the keys to success than any of you. Today, I am simply here to tell you that thanks to all of you in this room and on this stage, over the past 4 years, I've discovered who I am, and more importantly, who I want to be. I am going to share with you the 3 values that all of you at PACE have engraved in my heart, the values that I will take with me on whatever path I choose to follow. The first was taught to me by a dear friend in Lubin, and that is to live in the frame of gratitude. Focus on counting what you have, not what you don't have. There will always be someone who has more than you, and there will always be someone who has less. Help those who have less, and admire but don't envy those who have more. The second is to maintain resiliency, even in the face of adversity. The class of 2013 has defined what it means to be resilient and showed me what it means for community to come together in trying times. The first example of this was when we endured the worst food crisis of the century, the rise and fall of the Lachman Empire. Some of us escaped unscathed while others were plagued by undercooked meats and what they called a fresh salad bar. Now, this type of resiliency may not be relevant in the real world, but then again, neither is being punished for stealing by wearing a shirt that says, Dino Grady caught me stealing, and now I have to wear this shirt. On a more serious note, we had a rough start to the year when Hurricane Sandy displaced many of us, some temporarily, some permanently. Instead of focusing on our own personal issues, I witnessed students, faculty, and administration come together to look for ways to rebuild our New York City community. I will take that type of resiliency with me and use it in whatever challenges lie ahead. And finally, knowing that the future is not a gift, it is an achievement. Some say good things come to those who wait, but we don't have enough time to wait. Each day we should be working to better ourselves, because if you won't be better tomorrow than you were today, then what do you need tomorrow for? So, class of 2013, the more important question is not knowing what you want to do, but knowing who you are. Because in the end, that makes all the difference. Life is full of uncertainty, but I plan to walk off this stage with these values in my head and in my heart, not viewing the unknown as a threat, but excited for the opportunity to share with the world what you all have shared with me. Congratulations, class of 2013. My hat's off to you.
Will President Friedman and Chairman Bianco please come forward and present the Trustees and Community Service Awards? They will be assisted by Dr. Mary Jo Russell O'Grady, Dean of Students.
The Trustees Award is presented to the graduating student or students whose positive contributions to university life and whose academic accomplishments exemplify the highest level of achievement attainable for an undergraduate. You've just heard from her, now you're going to hear about her. Caitlin Ann Muser, please come forward and receive your award. Caitlin is receiving her Bachelor of Business Administration from Lubin School of Business. She's an exemplary member of the PACE community and has set herself apart from her peers in her time here. Looking back at her time at PACE, she said, if I could do it all over again, I would without a doubt choose PACE. I have made friendships here with students and professors that I know will last a lifetime. The business skills and experience I've gained from Lubin have prepared me for my career, and I couldn't have asked for a better college experience. It's clear to see that Caitlin has excelled academically. She's a member of the Pforzheimer Honors College, has achieved first honors on the Lubin Dean's List, and is a member of Beta Gamma Sigma, Lambda Sigma, and Omicron Delta Epsilon honor societies which serve to foster leadership and academic pursuits in business and economics. Although these are impressive attributes, it's important to remember that this is not all she's achieved during these last few years. While at PACE, she served as the Executive Vice President of the Student Government Association, where she helped oversee the 38 members of the Student Senate. She was a peer leader for University 101 courses, where she guided and acclimated incoming students. She was a member of the Board of Trustees Faculty Affairs Committee, and she volunteered her time to several charitable organizations that aim to bring health care to those in need and assist in the fight against diseases such as TB, HIV/AIDS, cancer, and diabetes. Throughout her college years, she gained real-world experience she would need after graduation. She studied cultural business practices in Beijing and global marketing in Belgium. She's held marketing internships at the Gen Youth Foundation, Kaplan Test Prep, that was a good one for the GREs, and Fuse TV. She later began work as a public relations intern for CBS Sports. She currently interns in the event presentation department with the New York Knicks. and recently accepted a full-time position with Axis Promotions, a company that specializes in event marketing and incentive programs. She also plans to receive her master's in sports business from NYU in the near future. It's for these reasons we today honor Caitlin Ann Muser with the Trustees Award. Congratulations, Caitlin. We have another student that's received the Trustees Award, Michael Joseph Welbrock. Please come forward and receive your award. Michael's receiving his B of A from Dyson College of Arts and Sciences. Today, we recognize the accomplishments of Michael, an outstanding psychology student and leader who's made his mark on the New York City campus. During his time at Pace, Michael has served in a variety of leadership roles on campus. He's been involved with the Student Government Association since his first days at Pace, and for the last 2 years served as executive president of the organization, acting as the liaison between the student body and senior administration. During his tenure with SGA, he was central to the development of common hours, town halls, and organizational council and improvements to dining services. Bringing student concerns and feedback to campus-wide initiatives, Michael served on nearly a dozen university-wide committees, including the New York City Master Plan Committee, Provost Review Committee, Student Affairs Committee of the Board of Trustees, University Technology Fee Committee, Faculty Evaluation and Course Review Committee, Homecoming Committee, among others. He also founded the university-wide Committee on Library Affairs. For the last 2 years, Michael has served as the Pace community as a senior resident advisor and was awarded the President's Citation for his outstanding performance in recognition of his service during Superstorm Sandy. He's a Dean's List student, member of Psi Chi, Pi Gamma Mu, and Alpha Phi Honor Societies, an Andre Bostic Pace Setter Key, a National Residence Hall honorary recipient, and represented Pace nationally at the NASPA Undergraduate Fellow. As an intern for the Pace Alumni Relations Office, he's helped plan and market the annual reunion, coordinated and assisted in creating focus groups to measure alumni engagement, and served as the assistant to the senior class campaign officer, where he was responsible for developing innovative ideas to engage graduating seniors and contributing to the Senior Class Fund. This fall, he will pursue his master's degree in college student personnel at Bowling Green State University in Ohio with a full scholarship. He says, being an engaged member of the Pace community has led me to choose to pursue a career in higher education. While college has proved to be some of the most challenging years for me, it has also been the most rewarding opportunity I have been presented with. I would be lucky to be able to give back half as much of what I learned while at Pace to young college students, and I plan to work tirelessly to enhance their college experiences into positive learning opportunities, as Pace did for me. It's for his leadership and dedication to Pace students and the community that today we present Michael Joseph Welbrock with the Trustees Award. Congratulations, Michael. Thanks. Next, we have the Community Service Award. That's presented to the graduating student whose active contributions to the life of the university community and to the endeavors of our neighbors in the surrounding community most admirably embody an appreciation for the value of social responsibility. Brianna Lynn Romaine Giuliano, please come forward to receive your award. Brianna is an ambassador for Pace students, an ambassador for the community, and an ambassador for human rights. Since arriving here, Brianna has taken an active role in Student Government Association, serving as Dyson School President, Executive Parliamentarian, and most recently, Executive Vice President. She's founded and chaired a variety of committees across campus, including the Dining Services Committee, Judicial Council, Financial Aid Committee, University Affairs Committee, and the 9/11 Student Committee. and managed to maintain her position on the Dean's List First Honors as a Pforzheimer Honors College student. If you ask her why she's become so involved in student government, it's not to fill out her resume, although it certainly does. She'll tell you this: I do it because I want to fight for the students. I want students to feel like they're represented. Her service also extends beyond the walls of PACE. As a 2011 and 2012 senior delegate for PACE's award-winning Model United Nations team, Brianna was able to put the skills she learned in the political science classroom to engage in deliberations on crucial national issues in committees and councils of the UN. But it was last May, when participating in a semester at sea voyage around Latin America, that she had the unique opportunity to study the ethics of human rights and see firsthand how Belize, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Panama, and Peru are implementing the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. Of the life-shaping experience, she said, "Before the voyage, I knew I wanted to be a human rights lawyer, but I wasn't necessarily sure what that meant. Now my eyes are open to all different types of career tracks that need human rights lawyers." As an educational advocate and YMCA cooking coordinator for the CVM AmeriCorps, Brianna not only rolled up her sleeves at the kitchen, but brought in more volunteers, increasing student participation by 25%, and designed an art-based learning project for ESL students. In 2011 and 2012, she took her passion to Gold USA, an international humanitarian agency dedicated to the alleviation of suffering among the poor, where she reached out to organizations for fundraising and created and chaired the first New York City student board with a fundraising objective of $10,000. She's been recognized for her leadership and community service efforts at the local, state, and national levels, with awards that include the Pace University Setter Key for Leadership, Presidential Volunteer Service Award, New York Needs You Fellowship, and the Gold Jefferson Award for Public Service. She says, "Everything I do is to serve the community because the community is my family. I did it at PACE because I care about the PACE community, and I will continue to do that as a human rights lawyer, to fight for everyone who doesn't have a voice in the global community." She recently accepted a full-time position as an administrative clerk at one of the top 10 law firms in the world, Skadden, Arp, Slate, Meagher, and Flom, where she interned last summer. For inspiring us to be great and to do good, we present Brianna Romaine Giuliano with the 2013 Community Service Award. Congratulations.
I now invite PACE alumna Alicia Chalumeau, 2003, founder and principal of the Chalumeau Law Group, to come to the podium and congratulate today's students on behalf of the alumni.
Good morning, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2013. I would first like to thank the university for inviting me today to address all of you. I am incredibly honored and humbled. In an age where it appears as though every position on Monster.com or Craigslist requires a graduate degree, and everywhere you turn there are offers for fast degrees in a short time, and even offers to earn your degree while you sleep, the fact still remains that approximately 30%, only 30% of our US population holds advanced degrees. This is proof today that you've done something that many dream of, that many fight for, and many, unfortunately, are never able to achieve. And all of you should be very proud. And as you go along your way today, many will stop you on the street and they see you in your caps and gowns and they'll congratulate you. But behind every graduate, there's a motivating force, whether it's a parent, a significant other, or even a child. There's someone who's motivated you to reach this auditorium today. And I know that we've stood and we've prayed for them and we've passed them their blessings. But I'd like all the graduates to stand today and look out into the audience and face your family members and your loved ones and give them the applause and showing them the gratification that they truly deserve.